Welcome to the Easy Bros Fantasy Football Podcast.
Coming at you from the Easy Bros studio in blistering hot Arizona.
Here are your hosts and football fanatics, Edward Green and Zach Rogers.
How goes it, Easy Bros? Welcome to the Easy Bros Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Zach.
And I'm Fast Eddie, your fantasy football salesman. I'm going to give you all the...
Yeah, you might have screwed the pooch on that one there, buddy.
I did.
You don't get a nickname today.
You messed me up, Zach.
You don't get a nickname today.
I am the fantasy football salesman, and I'm going to sell you on all the trades in the league.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Eddie landed 3 trades today, so he feels like he's a trade guru, as you would say.
Hey, it worked out all in my favor.
Yeah.
Maybe some in others' favors, but hey, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
All right, guys, let's talk some football. Let's get into some news for the day. Straight into it. We want to talk Bell. Injured reserve. Going to miss at least 3 weeks. That's what that tells us.
Yeah, well, to be put on injured reserve and to only miss 3 weeks, I'd say that's pretty good.
Yeah, but it could be more.
Let's hope that it's not. I don't like to see running backs hurt, man. That's a bummer.
And then they go and they sign Balash.
Yeah, I've seen that. I don't think that matters.
I don't think it matters. I don't think anybody should pick him up. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is
Frank Gore?
Frank Gore, Balash, does it not almost look like they're kicking Bell out without kicking Bell out? Like they're taking this opportunity while he's hurt.
It's kind of like the
to
last
let him
guys
go.
that Gase had on his Miami roster as running backs.
Exactly.
He just bring them over here to New York.
It's like a repeat.
Oh,
I'm
man.
seeing deja vu all over again.
Adam Gase.
It's worrisome for me.
You see Bell traded by
maybe if he can get healthy and then have a game or two to prove it, I wouldn't doubt that someone would trade for him. Maybe Pittsburgh trades back for him simply because James Conner's having injury issues already.
Well, if Snell balls out,
they already tried to trade back for him.
That was last year, but Snell didn't break out like he did yesterday.
Yeah, but even
we'll
then,
see how it goes.
They've got to have options, depth.
This is true. We'll see.
They're one injury away. Look at Marlon Mack.
Yeah, this is true, too.
One injury away. Speaking of that, Indianapolis Colts talking to Lamar Miller.
Yeah, I can see how that could work out, but same issue there. Lamar Miller has just been banged up the last couple of years. I'd like to see him be on a team.
Haven't heard anything about them signing him, but...
Hey, let's all just keep recycling Dolphins running backs.
How about Thomas? Michael Thomas, they didn't think it was, very serious when it came to his ankle, and then today they realized it's a little more serious than they thought. It's a high ankle sprain.
Could sit out.
He could be out 3 to 5 weeks. 3 to 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So if you're a Michael Thomas owner, you took him in the first round most likely, unless you just magically got lucky in your league. And you are very disappointed, and you're going to have to...
bench him for a few weeks.
Yeah, I hope you prepared. I hope you drafted well, or you got top waiver wire priority this week. Cause
hopefully that you have a IR spot, and you can put him in there for a few weeks and maybe pick up an extra guy on the waiver wire. If you don't, that's
outrageous, and you need to talk to your commissioner.
Just saying.
This commissioner thinks that's just ridiculous. People get hurt here. This is COVID season.
Oh, man.
All right, Parker avoided setback and still has a chance to face the Bills.
Yeah, I would like to see him sit out. Like, why not?
Yeah, I know. Just take at least a game.
He could have sat out during the Patriots game, and it really wouldn't have mattered.
I think that's the problem is they didn't let him recover when he did this in training camp.
Yeah, he sat out in practice a few weeks, but, I mean, other than that, like,
I don't think he warmed into it enough.
Yeah, so
without, actual preseason games and, physical activity. It's got to do something to you.
Yeah, I hope they let him sit out a couple weeks. Hey, Preston Williams, though, will be on the rise, so keep a lookout. As long as Ryan Fitzpatrick is throwing the ball, he's going to hit somebody, hopefully our team this time. So Preston Williams, hey, he could be a sleeper there. He's probably not owned in a lot of leagues.
Mohamed Sanu signs with the 49ers, back with Kyle Shanahan.
I believe this is a big deal.
His breakout season was under Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, in the with Atlanta. So
49ers need help right now.
Yeah, I think
Kittle
this is
could
good
miss
for him.
time.
I do think this is good for San Francisco.
Samuel's
you said,
already on
Kittle-
injured reserve.
Samuel's on injured reserve. The rookie from Arizona, he still kind of hurt, right? Is he going to play in week 2? Brian Ayuk, I think.
Not sure.
Not sure if he is.
Not
Didn't
sure.
play week 1. So, hey, Sanu's a guy that can probably step into Shanahan's offense and know what's going on.
We got Devontae Freeman has 4 teams ready to sign him, supposedly.
He wants to wait another week, probably to see how the...
Said he wants to decide the beginning of next week.
Yeah, he's
He
probably
wants to
waiting
see
to
what
see
these
what
4
happens with
teams
these guys.
do. I assume he wants a chance at a playoff run and to see where he's going to get the most playing
Do
time.
you want
at.
to take a guess? Who do you think's one of these teams?
Oh, man. I've got to say
I
that
thought Detroit at first, but then when they signed AP...
I haven't heard anything about the Colts talking to him, but if they've spoken to Lamar Miller, I feel like they would have to do their due diligence
and speak
and
to
speak
Freeman.
to Freeman.
Yeah, it's probably a money thing. Lamar Miller already was signed and then
Maybe
cut
the
by
Jets?
the Patriots.
I'm sure the Jets is maybe one of them.
Ooh, yeah.
Because just because they added Balaj.
If Freeman goes to the Jets, do you think that's something to look for?
Oh, if Freeman goes to the Jets, Bell's out.
Did he have 1,000 yards last year?
Bell's out at the trade deadline.
Yeah. Ooh.
They'll let him get healthy. They'll play him the last game before they're going to trade him, and then they will trade him for as much as they can. And they won't. It won't be much because it's obvious people want him out. If Freeman were to sign, it would be that obvious. So I'm definitely. I would stay away from Bell. I know a lot of people have been asking questions. Well, do you trade for Bell now? I don't think you trade for Bell.
It's a risky situation, I think.
That whole situation drafting him was a risk.
I mean, if you know that he's going to get traded and you know the spot he's going to go to and you know that team is going to give him the ball, maybe, but you don't know what his injury is going to be like once he gets traded.
Philip Lindsay's injury ended up being a case of mild turf toe, week to week.
Yeah, turf toe is a thing that bothers guys, though. I
Held
think
Devontae Adams out last year for our 8 games?
Yeah, I think A.J. Green, too, the last year or the year
Yep.
before. So, I mean, turf toe is a nasty thing, nothing to mess with. So, if those of you getting Snell on the waiver wire, hang on to him.
Odell and Robinson both supposedly are being acquired about.
Yeah, I don't think Robinson's going anywhere, but Odell
Well,
has
it
a
says
high...
he's not happy about not being paid like a top wide receiver in the league. He, as we've spoken about plenty of times in our previous episodes,
Yeah.
Allen Robinson is a great wide receiver.
Yeah, and he does it with next to nothing throwing him the ball. I mean, I want to say that Mitchell Trubisky could do good, but he hasn't shown that consistently that he will. And Allen Robinson has shown that he will, and he deserves to get his money. They give money to everybody else. Hey,
We hope, or the Bears are once again starting to rethink what they've started to build and are going to start over, is what it would seem to me.
hey, as a Dolphins fan,
Which confuses
is
the heck out of me,
available, I
because
would
then
love
why
it.
would you take on Foles?
yeah.
I do not understand.
You took on
that.
Foles' contract, and you could have definitely gave AR some extra money.
All right, well, let's talk a little segment that I came up with. This one is called Eddie. You wanna?
Sword and board. So, people, we had high hopes for a lot of the rookies this year. So we're going to talk about them. Which ones soared to the standards that we thought they would be, and which guys kind of bored, kind of
Fell asleep
fell
watching
asleep.
them,
You know, guys,
waiting for those fantasy points
not necessarily
to
that
pile
they
up.
did terribly, but they didn't do what we perceived them to do. So let's start with, I mean, do we even really have to talk about Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Like,
He definitely soared.
you know, he soared. He did great, and I don't see him slowing down week 2. Maybe
With possibly the best team in the league.
he probably won't get as many yards week 2, but I believe that he's going to be up at the top.
I disagree there. I think he's going to get plentiful of yards week 2. I think they're going to go through him more in week 2. They're playing the Chargers. We'll get into that later on in the week with the weekly matchups, but you got to think it's the Chargers, and the Chargers.
I thought their
failed
defensive
to-
line looked pretty
scored
good.
16 points.
I'm just saying, I thought their defensive line looked pretty decent. So
Well, who's our next guy?
we have Henry Ruggs. He was 3 targets, or he had 3 receptions for 55 yards, 2 rushes for 11 yards. But this was only in the first half. In the second half, he kind of had a stinger there, hammy, I think it was.
Yeah.
So he came back in the game, but they kind of didn't go after him. It was kind of like a decoy. But, I mean,
from what you saw,
he's
promising.
He did great, and he was getting open, and the car was trying to get him the ball. So
maybe drink a little more water. The hamstring won't be a problem.
Hey, it's the first week of the season, and these guys
I don't want to say I think he's going to have hamstring issues already.
These guys didn't get any warm-ups. I expect people to be in a lot better game time ready, I guess you would say, like by week 2. How about JT Jonathan Taylor? He had 67 reception yards, 22 rushing yards. This was only in 3 quarters. He caught all of his targets.
Yeah, he's looking great.
If it wasn't for Matt going out, he wouldn't have got his shot. But when he did get his shot,
he
full
showed advantage.
Yeah, that he is there to stay. And keep an eye on JT. He's soaring. Another guy, rookie running back, Joshua Kelly. Same thing. He got a little bit of carries. It was after Jackson, right, is the second guy there in San Diego. Jackson,
no, he is the second guy now.
Yeah, Jackson was hurt, though, right? He went out in that game. He came in a little bit. Kelly started taking over.
I don't think he got hurt. It's Kelly. I think Kelly is actually listed on the roster as the number 2 back now.
Okay. All right.
So
12 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown.
He did great. Fantasy-wise, he did better than Eckler did.
Yeah, he did, definitely.
Looked powerful on his runs. Could be someone to definitely keep your eye on in those deep leagues.
Yeah, if they're going to Eckler didn't do very well in the running game last year, so maybe they know that he's not very good inside the tackles, and they're bringing Kelly along just kind of how they were using Jackson last year.
Yeah.
So it might be a little change of pace, so Kelly could be a guy that you hang on to. One more guy that we have for our Soars is Joe Burrow. 23 of 36, 193 yards, 1 interception, 1 rushing touchdown.
Yeah, he should have had 2. They didn't call that late game penalty where they lost the game due to. It was not due to, also be due to their kicker.
Yeah, but honestly, the kicker got hurt on the kick.
I think he's
the
only starting quarterback, the number 1 pick. It's kind of easy to see him soaring. Especially with AJ Green, obviously looking pretty healthy, looking like his old self.
Yeah.
Played against Casey Hayward, Chris Harris all day, and he caught some balls.
And Joe Burrow looked good in the pocket. He didn't look like he was under rest.
And then yes, in that last drive, like that really has to tell you something. In his first game, no preseason, no nothing. He comes in and he leads a game-winning drive, and he should have won the game.
Yes.
He did do his part to win the game, and I wouldn't say that even Green was in the wrong here. It's how it ended up. It's how the play ended.
Yeah, he took blame. He said there was things that he could have done better in the game, that goes, of course, for everybody. But like we said,
he could have had a few more passing yards, but they're going to run the ball.
I thought he
Joe
played
Mixon
great.
is going to get his carries. So
I thought he played great, and looking forward to see what happens in week 2 with him. We're going to go to a board. Guys that we thought should have done a lot better.
Well, let's make this interesting because we don't want to bore the people with the board players.
CeeDee Lamb.
We're
going to lead it off with him.
Yeah, this one might surprise you guys.
He had 5 receptions for 59 yards. Yeah, you can say that's good, but honestly, I expected every one of these receivers to have 100 yards in this game, especially after you've seen the Jarwin went down early. They had all the time in the world to get
Amari
100
Cooper
yards.
had 14 targets.
Yes.
So if you're telling me a guy like that, who they paid all that money, is pretty much, as you've seen from last year and now this first game, still Dak Prescott's favorite wide receiver to throw to, then how can you say that Gallup and CeeDee Lamb sharing the targets behind him can be fantasy relevant on a weekly basis at a point to start them in a flex when you don't know who week to week is going to be the second guy that leads? Unless you get a big play, a breakout play where a guy breaks away for 40, 50, 60 yards and a touchdown, that's just diving. That's a hope. That's a Hail Mary. That's not a consistent guy. So
he ended up ranking wide receiver 45, I believe, at the end of the week. He should have been way higher than that.
yeah, if only Bubba would listen to this. It's terrible.
He really should have been way higher than that. And I don't see that
even if he
the
overtakes
Rams secondary is that good for them to be able to cover all three of these receivers. So he should have been balling out, man, honestly.
Even if he overtakes, say he overtakes Gallup, okay? Even if he overtakes Gallup, Gallup's still going to be there. They run 3 wide receiver sets. They have no tight ends left to throw the ball to. They're just going to be using them for blocking. So it's going to be Zeke. It's going to be Amari Cooper. It's going to be Gallup. It's going to be CeeDee Lamb. And I just don't feel when you're throwing your wide receiver 1 14 targets that the other 2 behind him splitting the rest are going to do enough when you've also got your running back grabbing anywhere from 2 to 5 catches a game and running the ball 25 to 30 times.
Hey, if the hype on CeeDee Lamb is real, they have Atlanta next week, who has an atrocious secondary.
But that's kind of what I mean is
if we really know,
he is
then
big
we'll see.
playability. He does have big playability.
No.
So I'm not saying there isn't going to be a week where CeeDee Lamb comes out with 20-something points, 30-something points because he lands 2 touchdowns and 100 yards off 6 catches.
Yeah.
But I'm not seeing him get 14 targets next to Amari Cooper. I'm not seeing him get 10 targets next to Amari Cooper.
Like I said, they have Atlanta. If
it's going to be a shootout. It's going to be a shootout. And look how Seattle and Atlanta was.
My next guy that board were very underwhelming was Justin Jefferson, wide receiver from the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
He's stepping into a role where Diggs is kind of dropping out, and Diggs had a lot of targets last year. So did Thielen. Thielen had a lot of targets this week, right? So he would finish 9th in receiving. He's the 9th ranked receiver coming into week 2, Thielen is. So for Jefferson not to be up here, it's crazy to me when you know that Cousins throws the ball all around.
It was just I don't know. It's not like you took him crazy high in the draft. He was one of those late round 14, 15. You pick him up, put him at the end of your bench. It is just game 1, but
the production that I saw
from what I saw, it just didn't look like he was anything spectacular or out of the ordinary.
2 catches for 36 yards.
In my opinion, if I had to judge it off one game, he's not going to be the next Stephon Diggs.
Well, he would. That's why they drafted him, was to replace Diggs. And hey, you had Brown and Diggs both finished top 25 in receiving, so you can't get this guy the ball. The next guy is
Gibson.
Yep. Washington.
I don't think anybody expected Peyton Barber to carry the ball 17 times.
No, but not only that, is that Gibson had the ball 10 carries, 36 rushes.
But does it
still got his carries?
Does it not worry you that if, say, Peyton Barber got a touchdown, that's a running back 2 right there, finish for the week?
Yeah.
So, do you feel like Gibson's really going to get more carries, or do you think he's just going to become more in the passing game?
Well, I mean, for the hype of it, he was supposed to be part of both. You know what I mean?
Peyton Barber didn't look like he was used much in the pass game, except for when they were using the running back 2 block.
I feel like the only person that was using the passing game is McLaurin. So,
well,
you know what I mean?
I can't go either way, but Gibson is definitely one of those players that he's going to sit on your bench, and you're going to have to see him prove it before you can start him. I'm sure plenty of people in the fantasy world out there drafted him, traded for him, picked him up off the waiver wire, and possibly started him this week. And I'd say just let's learn from that mistake, move on, put him on your bench, wait until he gives you at least 1, maybe 2 prove-it games, because 1 can fluke you.
Yeah.
I'm a 2-game process, like I've always said, maybe even 3. Especially when you're going and you're picking up guys like that.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully,
you know nothing about him. He was undrafted.
Hopefully next week, all these guys soar.
That's like me going and picking the undrafted Arizona guy out of the Patriots. 4 carries, 26 yards.
JJ.
Catch, 11 yards.
JJ.
I don't remember his name, but he's the 5th running back in the Patriots, and he touched the ball. So all those Michelle owners and White owners and Burkhead owners, and yeah, there's a lot of running backs, and they use them all. So if you've got one of them, and there's anybody trying to trade you for them, just take whatever they're offering you. It's got to be better. That's coming from a real Colts fan.
Oh,
I'll tell you that
Plus,
much.
Cam is probably going to get the majority of the running on that team.
Well, easy bros. Any of you out there thought of creating your own podcast? We personally use Buzzsprout. They've gotten us on every major podcast platform. The team at Buzzsprout is passionate about seeing your project through.
Join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout. Follow the link in the show's notes. Let Buzzsprout know we sent you and receive a $20 Amazon gift card to help support the show.
All right, let's get into some rankings. Let's talk rankings. Saw a lot of rankings today. I don't agree with a lot of them. I like to go through and just let's talk top 5. We'll talk a little in-depth top 5. Maybe talk a little bit about our top 10, and then just go through each category and let you guys know where we're placing players this week based off of
Going into their
matchup
yes.
and how they performed last week. So, of course, let's talk quarterbacks first. I've got Jackson 1. I've got Dak Prescott 2. Kyler Murray 3. Russell Wilson 4. Josh Allen 5.
I like it. I have Jackson 1, Mahomes at 2, Josh Allen at 3, Murray at 4, and Wilson at 5.
All right, let's talk differences. Why do you have Mahomes at 2? And I see that you decided to agree with most other ratings.
I just think based on his matchup, he's going to get good looks against the Chargers, and he's going to be able to evade probably their line a little bit more than we were able to see last week. I think that the matchup is good for him, and I think that the Chiefs are just going to roll the Chargers, to be honest.
Rebuttal.
Okay.
Coming at you.
All right.
You seen what Hilaire could do.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are the Chiefs, right? Hill,
Yeah.
Kelsey, Mahomes, Hilaire, Watkins, Hardman. The list goes on. I think there's some guy named Robinson who does some stuff too. Anyways, so you've got all these guys. You got a great team. You got a great running back playing the Chargers, who could barely keep up with the Bengals. And the Bengals are the Bengals. Remember, they got the first pick last year?
That's what I just said. They're going to roll them. So that's why I put him.
But that's what I'm saying.
2.
So why do you think Mahomes is going to produce enough fantasy points to be ranked number 2 for this week when I feel the game is actually going to be a slow game script? I think the Chiefs are going to get out so far ahead that they're going to be running it out just like they did last week. And last week, I'm not 100% on what Mahomes ended last week, but I don't see him ending top 5 this week. I think he needs an offense that's going to make him throw the ball against them. And
I just feel like
I don't see Tyrod Taylor doing that. He couldn't even get the ball to Keenan Allen. Don't get me wrong, Keenan Allen had a tough time. He was draped with defenders, double-teamed it multiple times. But at the same time, as a receiver his size, you just think he can create himself. He's got to find something.
Mahomes had 20 fantasy points last week, 211 passing yards, 3 touchdowns.
Exactly, and I can probably name 10 other quarterbacks who scored. Minshew scored that, and he's sitting on the waiver wire. Hopefully, not by tomorrow.
I think that he's going to score more than that, though. That's all I'm saying. I think
no,
that he's going to score more against the Chargers defense than that.
But he had to keep up more with the Texans than I believe he's going to have to keep up with the Chargers. Okay, but anyways, so these
guys can score
5.
like 60 points. I'm just saying they can score like 60 points against this
I don't
team.
really have anything else to argue with you about on the 5. We're pretty much same, maybe a spot or two swapped up. Now let's talk. Why is Watson not in your top 5? And maybe I'll spread my.
I believe he's right there at 6, though. That's why I go Watson 6, Brady at 7 for their matchups this week. It's just because he has Baltimore. I just want to see what they do with the offensive line. Their right tackle was not playing right last week, and they got obliterated by the Chiefs, their defensive line. And they're going to go up against Baltimore. I just think that he's going to drop down in points this week. That's all.
Well, he's definitely in my top 10. I think Matt Ryan, Cam Newton probably round out my top 10.
Yeah, I'm just afraid of the matchup with Newton. I like Seattle's defense a lot better.
I'm not worried about it.
So
I think I see what Belichick and McDaniels has planned for Newton.
I think Aaron Rodgers is also going to have a monster
I
game.
think what Newton proved this week is not only that he is his old self, he is back to his athletic form.
Yeah.
He's got velocity on his throws, but I think he also proved that even in a game where he throws for 155, was it 155 yards? I believe it was 155 yards, and he ran for 75. So even in a game in that, he still gets you 20 some odd points.
Yeah.
So that's his
running,
low
everything
game.
helps.
That's his low game. If he gets 200 yards, 250, and he does 50 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, didn't he only get 1?
I think so, yeah. They called 1 back, I believe.
Sometimes you just can't look up enough stats to keep up, can you?
I know.
Anyways, let's talk running backs. My top 5, Christian McCaffrey, of course, number 1. I got Kamara number 2.
All right.
Henry number 3. Zeke 4. Jacobs 5. What is yours looking like?
I have McCaffrey 1. Henry at 2. Elliott 3. Jacobs 4. And Jones at 5. Based on their matchups and what I think that they're going to do this week.
Who was your second again?
Henry.
Henry, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think that
so
the
we
Colts...
have Kamara and Henry swapped.
The Colts
correct?
Defense, yeah. The Colts defense, when it came to the running game, they kind of carved up Jacksonville.
Where do you have Kamara?
He would be at 6. I had him with Jones right there.
So who do you have in your 5 that I don't have in mine?
I have Jones.
Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones,
okay,
yeah.
I can't argue on that because when I was thinking about number 5,
I
had Jacobs and Jones, and
well,
I was
they play
torn
Detroit.
between both of them.
They play Detroit, and I think he's going to have a pretty good game.
Okay.
And then Kamara, they face the Raiders. So I think he's going to have a good game. I just think Jones is probably going to be right there neck and neck with him against Detroit.
Most people have Barkley ranked in the top 5 this week, but from what I saw last week's game,
Sunday, yeah. Was it Monday? They played
he
Monday.
was destroyed on the ground.
Their offense,
the only thing that kept him relevant was the pass game, and even that wasn't that astounding.
Yeah, their offensive line was getting eaten up, and I just don't see them not getting eaten up by Chicago.
I think he'll still finish top 10, but I'm not. He's outside the top 5 for me this week.
Yeah, I think he could probably finish with 12 to 15 points.
I'd put Hilaire above him.
Oh, for this week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd put Hilaire above Cook simply because Cook's going against Indy's run defense. Indy's run D is good.
How do you feel about Josh Jacobs against New Orleans? He's top 10?
See,
I mean, he blew it up last week.
I think he is top 10, yes. I have him number 5. But that's why I said I was torn between him and Jones. And now that you say Jones, I'm even more torn that I feel like I would have to change that.
Like, I just like the matchup a lot more, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He has a good matchup, so.
Well, and then we probably, Kenyon Drake 10.
Kenyon Drake has a good matchup. I really want to see Washington's defense again. If they can keep on what they were doing, I'd be afraid of Washington's defense. They had 8 sacks last week. That's crazy.
Let's talk some wide receivers.
Yeah,
I've got Adams number 1, Julio number 2, Hopkins number 3, Amari Cooper number 4, Godwin number 5. What do you got?
I like it. Adams 1 this week. I'm going with Hopkins at 2, Godwin at 3, Robinson at 4, and Julio at 5.
Ooh. Julio at 5.
Yeah.
Now, why is that?
Just, I think that Dallas's secondary is going to be better than some of these other guys that are playing up here.
Even after watching Woods destroy them?
Yeah, Cup didn't, though.
You don't... yeah, but Cup is the number 2. Woods is the number 1, so he'll be playing the spot that Julio plays
We'll
in.
see. We'll see. Did you see what Ridley did?
Yeah.
I'm
I saw
just
what
saying,
Gage did.
I'm just saying, so they have all what these other guys are
You
still in the
give
mix.
Jones the touchdown,
They
and
still
he
got-
outdid both of them.
No, I know, but they still have these guys in the mix is what I'm saying. So
Okay.
that's only why I have him down there, because I feel like these other guys are
Allen
gonna get-
Robinson.
yes,
Let's talk about that. Number 4 this
Sure.
week?
they're going against the Giants.
Even with all this speculation going on with his situation?
Allen Robinson's the type of guy that he's going to show you why he deserves the money, and he's going to show other teams, hey, if this team doesn't want to pay me, trade for me because I'm going to be worth the money. That's Allen Robinson, bro, and I promise you,
See,
he's
I
going to tear
I
the
think
Giants'
I'd
defense
have-
apart.
I think
And
I'd
so will
have-
Trubisky, I think.
I think I'd have Thielen above him.
Oh.
I'd definitely have Thielen
I like
rounded out
Thielen's
my top 10
matchup
with.
against the
I think people have Mike
secondary.
Evans ranked way too high too this week.
Yeah, because
No.
I don't know what's going on with his injury. I know that.
I'm seeing
hear
7 to
Arians-
9 range. I'm thinking he's outside the 10.
Well, Arians said that they were going to try to get him the ball more, but that
Even them
doesn't
with-
mean his injury is
Yeah.
not there. So
Well, let's talk more about. Let's talk.
Juju Smith-Schuster is the only
Yeah.
guy I would kind of move up here because of Denver's injuries.
They got him at
At their
14.
secondary.
I don't agree with that. I think he could easily make top 10 this week.
Yeah,
Easily.
yeah, he should be. Yeah, DJ.
There's plenty of other wide receivers that have the opportunity to land themselves, that aren't ranked as high this week, that always have that big play ability.
How do you feel about the receiving core?
Metcalf,
in
Marquise
Cleveland?
Brown, T.Y. Hilton.
Odell and Landry. How do you feel they'll fare against the Bengals?
I think it's going to be a show of the crap teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just going to be a lot of offense and possibly a lot of turnovers. Back and forth
All right.
until we find out who the winner is.
Bengals win.
I honestly think the Browns are going to win.
Okay.
Just giving them the sure fact of talent.
You're taking
But-
Browns. I'm taking Bengals.
Yeah, see, and that's what I mean. I think it could go either way because they have Burrow, they have Green, they have Mixon, they have Boyd. They don't have a bad team, so
I
it
think
could
this
go
is going to
either way.
depend on whose defense makes the best move.
Like, don't get. I wouldn't bet money on this matchup
No,
because
just
I don't
saying,
know
you
which
take
way
Cleveland,
it would go.
I take the Bengals.
All right, we'll call it that
We'll call it.
for fun. Let's talk tight ends. I got Waller number 1. I'm calling this
Oh,
Waller
all right.
number 1. That's
like
not
it.
owner bias either.
I like it.
Adams number 2, Kelsey number 3, Jared Cook number 4, Hunter Henry number 5. That's my finishes this week.
All right. I like it a lot.
What
I'm
do you
going
think?
Kelsey 1, Andrews 2, Waller at 3, Henry at 4, Cook at 5.
Oh, okay. We've got a similar top 5.
So-
a little different in the order. Now, so let's talk about the biggest difference in ours, Waller and Kelsey. Why
Yeah,
do you
like-
think Kelsey's going number 1? I think we're going to have a kind of a similar conversation earlier, like with the Patrick Mahomes, because I
Well-
believe Patrick Mahomes is possibly going to do less on the offensive side and more Hilaire this game. That in turn tells me that Hill is going to have less fantasy value in Kelsey. Not
Well,
saying
just 'cause I
someone
feel
doesn't
like-
have to catch the ball.
I watched the whole Chargers game,
Yeah.
and I just feel like Travis Kelsey is going to eat the middle alive.
Okay, but Waller.
I didn't catch enough in New Orleans to see how they're gonna play against the tight end. That's all I'm saying. Like, so he's right there. I think him, Andrews, and Kelsey, depending on. Oh man, they're all just. It's right there, man, for me this week with all of them.
See, I
with my
think
top
I feel
three.
like Waller has the bigger play potential. And then on another account, it's almost guaranteed that
He's gonna get maybe
the
more
Vegas
targets.
Raiders are going to be playing from behind.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So
You got me on
that's
that.
the
I
only
got you.
reason I have
I
them
got you.
swapped, and I have Andrews above Kelsey for a similar situation. I think their matchup is going to be a little more competitive. Houston, it can keep up in a way.
I like
and
Kelsey,
I feel them coming back from their week 1 sorrows is going to be a goal. So
I just feel like Kelsey and Andrews in the red zone, their quarterbacks just go for them in there, so they're just a higher target to me.
I'd say Evan Ingram, Noah Fant, T.J. Hawkinson would round out my top 10.
I would look at Higbee there. Higbee, I think, is going up, and they're facing Philly this week, so we'll see how Goff plays out there. I like Goddard and Ertz in Philly. I want to see how they do with Ertz there. Are they going to pay him? They're going to move on. He's another one of those guys. So there's a couple teams in the league that could probably use another tight end.
Yeah, always. Let's talk some defenses. I've got the 49ers number 1 this week, Steelers number 2, Bears number 3, Ravens number 4, Bills number 5.
We're a little close. I probably got something in here you don't expect, but I'm going to go 49ers 1, Bears 2, Cardinals 3, Bills 4, Bucks at 5. And this is purely based on their matchups and their offensive opponents that they're going to face, to be honest.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I think it always more depends on who they're playing.
I mean, I hate to put the Bills up
and how
here,
they
to be
played the
honest.
week before going into the matchup they're facing. I think there's not very many waiver wire defenses this week that are a great option. Most defenses are taken. I'm looking at, there's the Rams, there's the Browns, there's the Bucks are probably the top 3 defenses this week on the waiver
was
wires.
actually available in a lot of leagues. I think earlier I looked at it at 37% of leagues.
Not in
still
ours.
had Tennessee. No, I'm just saying the 30% of leagues still had Tennessee out there. So, hey, if you're one of those leagues, Tennessee looked pretty good to me on defense. They're worth a pickup.
And as far as kickers go, as we always say, go for the matchup of the week that you think is going to be the highest scoring outing.
Or anyone that Drew Brees has on his team. Because that guy
That'll always serve you well.
Drew Brees is always going to have 60 points in a game.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode. Why don't you catch us at
Buzzsprout at easybrosffpod.buzzsprout.com.
All right.
Also, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at easybrosffpod.
Click of a button.
Check out our Patreon link at patreon.com/easybros.
It's only $3.
Subscribe, get exclusive content, talk to us, ask us questions. The Easy Bros are always here to make your fantasy week easy. We're going into week 2.
We want to talk to you.
Catch us next time on our next episode.
Keep it easy.
Thanks for joining the Easy Bros of the Easy Bros Fantasy Football Podcast. Don't forget to join us for our next episode. Like, subscribe, and check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and also our website, EasyPod Bros at EasyBrosFantasyFootball.com.